Hey friends, it's Kate from the Fletcher Free Library, and we're getting together today to do some kitchen science, and I'm going to be teaching you how to make cooked Play-Doh. I know, it's very exciting. There are two kinds of Play-Doh. We could make cooked Play-Doh or we could make Play-Doh with boiling water. I'm going to show you how to make cooked Play-Doh today. Because I really like how elastic it is, and it seems to last a little longer than the Play-Doh you make with boiling water. So we're going to go through the ingredients. So look out for the next slide. I'll show you all the ingredients you might need. It's really only a couple things that you probably have in your kitchen. So I'll be right back. So while you were learning about ingredients, I was gathering our ingredients. So I'm going to start by washing my hands so that we start cooking with clean hands, and then we'll start measuring. So the sink is right over here, so I'm just going to turn on the sink. I'll stay on here. Also, turn out the water. Remember, this is going to take a while because hand washing is not a 2-second affair anymore. So I'll sing a little song in my head. You can sing along with me. Happy birthday to me, happy birthday to me, happy birthday dear Kate, happy birthday to me. Did you know I just had a birthday? I turned 50. That's pretty old. I'm pretty psyched about it though. It's kind of neat to be half a century. Okay, my hands are pretty soapy and I think they're pretty clean, so I'm going to rinse them off. Dry them off, and we are ready to go. So we're doing kitchen science, and when we cook, we have to be really accurate about our measuring. So I'm going to show you how I do that. So the first thing we need are our dry ingredients, and that's going to be the flour, the salt, and the cream of tartar. So let's start with the flour. I've got a big jug of flour here, and we need 1 cup of flour. So I'm going to take my little scoop, and I'm going to fill this to the very brim. Choop, choop. I don't want it to be under and I don't want it to be over. See how it's all the way over the top? So I'm just going to take my little scoop and I'm going to scrape it across the top. There we go. I'm going to put that to the side for right now. We don't need any more flour. Put that away. We also need a 4th cup of salt. So let's see what I've got here. That one's a 4th cup, the small one. And just like the flour, I'm going to fill it up to the top, but not over. I'm going to shake it a little. That looks pretty good. What do you think about that? Yeah, maybe just a little bit more. Here we go. So we've got flour and we've got salt, and this is cream of tartar, and this helps make everything smooth, makes the Play-Doh smooth. So I'm going to measure, and then I'm going to dump it on top of the flour for later. So I'm just going to pile it right on top. Here's another one. And just shake it right off. Because we're not making a cake or cookies, we don't have to be as accurate, but it's pretty important. We don't want to waste our ingredients. Okay, so we have 2 tablespoons waiting right there. So those are all our dry ingredients ready to go. Okay, we're back and ready to make some Play-Doh. So I've got a pan for the stove, and let's put our stuff together. So remember, I have flour and cream of tartar here. We're going to dump that in. And I've got my salt. I'm going to dump that in too. And this is optional, but I always put it in my Play-Doh. So I'm using sugar-free Kool-Aid. And the reason I use sugar-free Kool-Aid is it gives it a little color, and it gives it a smell. And I find playing with Play-Doh really sensory, and I love having a neat smell like the Kool-Aid, or sometimes I put in peppermint. Maybe you've noticed at the library, sometimes when I make Play-Doh, it's peppermint. And I just think it smells great when you're playing with it. And I think that's important for Play-Doh. It has to look good, feel good, and smell good. Okay, so we've got these in here, and so we've got a couple different ingredients, and when we put them together, we call that a mixture. We haven't changed what the ingredients are yet, we just mix them together. So that's the beginning. We're gonna get into the chemistry soon. So let's move on to the next step. Okay, we're back for the next step. So now we need to add the wet ingredients. So we have water and oil to add. So let's start with the water. We need a cup of water, and I have a wet measuring cup, and it's marked on the side with all the measurements. I need a cup, which is all the way up here. Some people might think if it's a cup, it goes all the way to the top, but you still have to look at the measurements on the side. So I'm gonna bend down so I can see the lines. And I'm going to pour water in until I get to a cup. Okay, got it. That we have to be pretty precise about it because we want our Play-Doh to be just the right consistency. So we've got a cup of water, and we need 1 tablespoon of oil. And this is a tablespoon, that's the big one. So we need 1 of those, and oil is great for Play-Doh because it helps make it smooth, just like the cream of tartar. So we're gonna put that in there. So now we're gonna add the wet ingredients to the dry ingredients, and then we're almost ready to cook them. So I'm gonna pour it in, and I'm gonna mix it together. So when we mix our dry ingredients with our wet ingredients, now we have what's called a solution, okay? Because now it's in water or in liquid. So you can see it's not Play-Doh yet. It is just kind of a mushy mess. Okay, we're ready to get to cooking. Be right back. We're ready to start cooking. We've got our solution, right? It's kind of a mushy mess. Let's go over to the stove. This is the part where you need some family help, right? Because you shouldn't be cooking at the stove all by yourself. So you guys decide how you want to arrange this, but I'm going to do it by myself because everyone else is sleeping at my house. Well, the kids are sleeping, and they would be my camera people. So I'm going to turn to the stove a little. It's a little awkward, but again, I don't have another camera person. So I'm turning on the gas to medium, and I'm putting my Play-Doh over. I'm just gonna start stirring. And I'm gonna stir the whole time. Here we go, stirring. And this is gonna take about 1.5 minutes, 2 minutes. It doesn't take very long. And this is where the amazing science is taking place. We're gonna change from a solution to a compound. We're gonna change this into something totally different. So I'll be right back. Ooh, this is great. Everything's starting to come together. The water is binding with the starch in the gluten in the flour. Oh, it's getting hard to stir now. It's forming a ball. Do you want to see what it looks like so far? Look at that. We have definitely changed it from a solution. Let me finish it up. Make sure it's dry enough. Okay, I think we're done. Let's take a look. Yep, I definitely have a ball of Play-Doh in there. I'm gonna let it cool for a second, then we'll be right back to do the kneading. Okay, we are there. We clearly have something else in here. Ooh, it's hot. Okay, I'm gonna grab all the Play-Doh and dump it out onto the counter. Look at the beauty is Play-Doh. Oh, and it's favorite, one of my favorite colors. It's pink. It's hot, but it's not so hot that I can't handle it, as you can see. So I'm gonna treat it like bread dough, and I'm gonna smush it and fold it. And that's gonna help to make it nice and smooth, and it'll also help to cool it off. So I'm gonna do that for a minute. Oh, it smells so good. It says it was, let's see, this was charcoalberry. So pink something, but it does smell good. So I'm pretty happy with what we've got so far. So we've got the flour and the water, and that's the main part of Play-Doh. And then the salt really helps it not get moldy too quickly. So it's what we call a preservative. So the salt helps to make the Play-Doh last, and the oil makes it nice and smooth and elastic, as well as the cream of tartar. If you were going to do Play-Doh without cooking it, the no-cook Play-Doh, you're going to use boiling water, and you don't need cream of tartar. So sometimes that's not something families have at home. Unless you're regular bakers, you probably won't have cream of tartar at home. So either one works fine. I just like this one better. Plus it's really fun to push on it while it's hot. So you're going to want to let it sit. It's probably going to take 15 or 20 minutes for it to get cool enough to put into a bag. But you're definitely going to want to bag it or put it into some kind of container that has a top, and that way your Play-Doh doesn't dry out. Ew. Somebody's waking up in my house and making noise. Okay, we are all finished. The Play-Doh is cool. I'm going to stick it in the bag so it doesn't get all dried out. I would say you have about 2 weeks, two and a half weeks of Play-Doh fun before you should probably toss it or compost it and get started with a new batch, because it will not stay like this forever. And I don't want you to have lots of germies in your house. So it would help also if you wash your hands before you play Play-Doh, and then again after you play Play-Doh, and when you go to the bathroom, and when you eat something, and when you touch anything in your house or anywhere else. So there's just a lot of hand washing going on. Okay, so I'm sticking it in here, and as a reminder, everything that we use today is edible. So if your little ones do decide to stick Play-Doh in their mouth, they'll be fine, or mostly fine, or they'll have pink poopy Play-Doh coming out at some point. So I'm glad you could join me. Hopefully there will be many opportunities to hang out with me in the kitchen, and hopefully I will become more and more professional each time. But in the meantime, go outside and enjoy nature. Hey friends, it's Kate from the... Stop barking! Let's try that again.